But anyway, like you say, you mentioned DVS systems. You were probably one of the first people I know to get onto the DV. I remember you showing me Serato maybe first time. I think it might have been down at skate park. Obviously, everybody knows their advantage. Thousands of records on a laptop, but do you think we lost anything as well, all moving to digital? I mean, crate digging for a start, I think we'll probably want to could refer back to the earlier example, like when you did the DMCs. I think there were an art as well of being able to pick obscure and find obscure records and samples, whereas now as everything's digital and can be sampled from the internet, it's instantly much easier to find samples and stuff like that. I mean, that's one obvious candidate off the top of my head. I mean, you've probably thought about this and probably know more about it than me. So, go ahead. So what do you think?
It's a massive subject, really. It was a necessary evolution. It got to the point, well, various things. So before, when Serato was created, talking about the context of battling, before Serato was allowed in competitions, but commonplace within DJ scenarios, there was a massive drop-off of interest in competing in competitions. Sort of, you're talking the mid-late 2000s, I'd say 2006 to sort of 2000, well, until they allowed Serato win it back again, basically. There was a massive fall off because even people of my generation had started using Serato, but younger generations had started on Serato. So you had people like me who might have been DJing with Serato a lot at the weekend, but also people who'd never dug the vinyl and all that lot.
Yeah.
So, and I understand why DMC resisted, because I won't call it gatekeeping. There's a preservation element to the art form, I think, within hip hop culture. So definitely that voice sort of, held DMC back from allowing Serato to be in the competitions, which, I completely understand. But as soon as they allowed it again, the interest sparked again for a lot more DJs to enter again. So that was a good thing. Prior to them allowing it, I'd say for about 4 years, there was a section of the turntablist community that essentially were winning the DMC with Serato sets. So they'd be creating like perfect records for each side, and they'd be sort of reverse engineering productions on Serato to be reconstructed live on turntables. So they'd be creating all these sets from, all these samples and their own productions. And then when it came to DMC, after creating these routines in Serato, they'd press the vinyl. Do you know what I mean? So the DMC would actually be a Serato set in any other way.
I remember reading bits about this on like when internet forums were still pretty big. There were one I used to go on. I can't remember the name, and there were a lot of comments on this, and people.
It's not to take away any of the skill of the DJs, because
it was a diversive subject though, weren't it? Some people did, it were disdained, and then others were for it.
It was an interesting time, to be honest with you, because people with immense skills, people like Netik, Rafik, to name two, they had, like, their skill level was, world champion level anyway. So that's by the by. But they were creating very seamless routines that you couldn't achieve that kind of sound if you were competing against them and you'd brought 20 records that you had to do sort of bad transitions by putting this record on here and blah 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 and put that record on there. The process was completely different. So all of a sudden you could make maximal sort of impactful routines that were seamless and sounded like super neat productions that just sounded like flawless music, and that was brought about by the ability to create routines from your own productions within Serato. So it was an interesting time, and I think it had to be done. And not everybody's gonna like that kind of set, but it was an advancement in, like, you know, routine construction. Do you know what I mean? It was an advancement in a way. And like I say, DMC letting people use Serato allowed the scene to grow again, because it sort of took the restrictions off a lot of people to enter. That said, throughout all this period, I was constantly, and I still am constantly, asked to judge these competitions. So as a judge, coming from the original school and living through like all these other schools, I know what's going on. But as a judge, it made it so much harder to judge.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know what was reverse engineered to, like, and what you could see scratch technique when it was being done, but it was harder to figure out who was like really like doing the cleverer stuff, because like there was people started MIDI mapping like effects to faders and this, that, and the other, and it was really hard. Yeah, it was really hard to distinguish who was being doper right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas it was much simpler when all the DJs had two up faders and a crossfader and a bunch of records. It was much easier to distinguish who was being the dopest. What I always said to DMC was, like, as well as that massive video screen showing the DJ that you're filming, have another screen that everybody can see and the judges can see, where we can see their Serato screens, because I want to know what's being done live and what's being played through. You know, I want to see what this DJ is up to, basically, to have, and that would have helped the judging process, I reckon.
Have they done that?
No, they never did that.
No.
So it's a funny one. But I've nothing against the art of putting those sets together. You know what I mean? It just throws a few more. When there's more tools available, you've got to take more things into consideration when figuring out who's the best. Do you know what I mean? So it's interesting. Like from a DJ perspective, obviously there's all sorts of things, like there was a natural financial barrier, if you will, to who could DJ back in the day. Obviously, so for people from working class backgrounds like myself and like yourself or whatever, you know, we had to really want it, because we had to have part-time jobs, we had to save up, we had to do this, do that, and it's not great that a pastime costs a ton of money to get into, but it's an actual filtration where if you want it, you really want it, and you know, like you'll
cut an arm off to get it, won't you?
I was saving. Yeah, I was like skipping lunches at school to save me dinner money to buy records. You know what I mean?
I was saying.
Whereas obviously, when you've got technology that allows you to download somebody's hard drive in 10 minutes and you've got 10,000 tunes instantly, and you know you can get a bit of kit and you're off DJing, and so it opens the gates for these celebrity DJs and people who really don't give much of a crap. Do you know what I mean? But on the same side of that, you know, like maybe it takes one of those sort of restrictions off a kid who isn't in a position where they can afford this, that, and the other.
Something you told me years ago when it was first coming about, one major advantage was you instantly had two records, which were a massive advantage for the American DJs, because I remember you saying something over there, vinyl was so cheap, that's why, and you could easily get instant doubles of everything.
For the hip hop, for the price I spent on every American import 12, they could buy doubles of it, because it was basically the same price. So when I first sort of met up with American DJs and looked through their collection, I couldn't believe that everything they had was on doubles, and I could only dream of that. Do you know what I mean? Because like, I mean, obviously records are much more expensive these days than they were then, but back in the day, you know, say an American import 7-inch cost you £7 or £8, you know, yeah, that's 16 quid if you want doubles. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it costs you 30. So yeah, obviously with Serato you can get instant doubles. You know, for some people who don't have the records, you can download X amount of records, like instantly or whatever. What I found when Serato came in was like, I was lucky enough, I wasn't on all the promo lists that I wanted to be, but obviously record companies used to send out vinyl promos. All that obviously turned to digital, you know, because it's much cheaper for the record labels, which is kind of good, you know. Yeah, good for producers getting the tunes out. People can instantly play their own stuff in the club, check it out, see you know, all sorts of advantages. Working within a band, you know, which that's how I started using Serato. Like when I was with Russian Percussion for the first year and a half or 2 years, we'd have special vinyl that was made for the show, plus a load of other records that we used in the show, and we're swapping stuff over all the time. Serato came out. We'd heard that it was good and usable, and we both happened to have laptops as well. So they offered us like, you know, the bit of hardware that you needed and all that lot, because we used to tour like crazy. We used to do like whatever 200 gigs a year or something, like 150 gigs. Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. So we had these mental touring schedules, and we'd always DJ before and after the live set with rappers and stuff. So me and Vadim would go back to back for like an hour or so. We might do an hour before, and sometimes we might do an hour or two afterwards. So we'd always have to like have records to play for people to dance, and you'd set off in a van for a couple of weeks around Germany, and you might go to one town where everybody's into really underground backpack, independent hip hop. You might go to another town where they love the funk breaks and stuff like that. You might go to another town that's really into reggae or whatever like that. And we take all our vinyl around, like for the first few years of doing that. We'd, you know, and you'd have to second guess. You'd have to take only have a certain amount of luggage room, and you'd have to try and pack a bag that might keep all these different kind of crowds happy. Store I could put routines in there that, you know, whatever. We started using it for that, but we'd still DJ the DJ sets with the vinyl, because we knew that the old hip hop guard would be like, you know, don't use that. And then eventually it just got ridiculous. You know, we were lugging vinyl around everywhere, doing the live show with the Serato, and yeah, we were just like, well, we should just start putting our records on the computer, you know. It's just daft, really, just to sort of try and impress like a 16-year-old at the front that might be grumpy by the fact that he can see a laptop on stage. I remember that happening in Germany once, and this is like early 2000s, and, you know, Vadim was like a renowned crate digger. You know, obviously I'd spent like a lot of time in his studio, and he's got, you know, twice the records I had at the time. You know, he had like crazy amount of breaks. He'd been digging forever. But
I remember you going on about his record collection when he
had crazy record collection. He was one of the first guys digging all these sort of Eastern European breaks, and like, you know, real sort of leader in that sort of digging scene. And I remember like this young kid coming up to him and basically telling him, "You're not hip hop. You're using it. Like, should buy real vinyl." And I'm thinking, this kid's probably got 20 records at home. Do you know what I mean? And he's telling this guy like 15 years old, you know, like, you know, a guy who's been digging for longer than this guy's been alive, you know, like that is not a real hip hop sort of DJ. But I mean, just sort of and I in a way I understand that old school thing, you know, but the practicality of going to like 20 cities in a month and playing to all these different crowds and being able to please them all, it did make sense to start putting our records on the computers, really. But that said, I sort of play a ton of vinyl these days just because I do enjoy the process a bit more, really. To be honest with you.
There's been quite a bit of a revival, I think, last few years, haven't there? I'm still digital through and through. I love. I bought one of them new rain mixers and absolutely love it. For what I do, it's absolutely spot on. I don't miss vinyl. I don't miss the crates. Certainly don't miss lugging them about.
No.
But
no, it's a funny one. Like I didn't think I missed it. Like I say, I started using Serato early days, like 2005 or something like that, and probably moved over to be exclusively Serato by about 2007, and then I probably did like the next 9 years. In that time, I'd started doing the audio visual stuff. So obviously, you've got you can't do that on regular vinyl. Manipulating video on regular vinyl, So I was doing a lot of shows with the audio visual from like 2010. So it was part of the setup. But then I remember when I was doing kind of regular DJ sets, probably about that time, 2010, 11, 12, they started feeling a little bit autopilot. Do you know what I mean? And because it almost, I don't know, there was something about it where I just sort of started boring myself a little bit. With regular DJ sets, that the audio visual sets were still challenging because it was like you had all these different dimensions to it and stuff like that. But then when I started doing the Bocca Woody stuff, because Bocca 45 only plays off 45s, I already had a ton of 45s anyway, because a lot of the 45s that I bought, a lot of the rap singles that I was getting when I was a kid were on 45, because it was like Def Jam, Public Enemy, Run DMC, Walk This Way, Peter Piper, all that. They were in the charts, so they were on the wall at Burnley Woolies as a 7-inch for 99p. Do you know what I mean? So like all of them early sort of like 1987, 1988, 89 sort of hip hop bangers or whatever, tracks, classics. I had them all on 7, and I always bought like bits of funk stuff on 7. So I had a decent 7-inch collection anyway. So as soon as I started doing stuff with Bocca 45, I was like, right, well, any DJ gigs we get together, it's a good excuse for me to start DJing 45s out and use some of these records. And I remember the first time I did it, it felt challenging, because it is quite challenging DJing with 7s, because they're quite small, and
I've never done it.
You're very careful with them. Well, some of my first DJ routines were on my rap 7s, because like I just had the like MIDI hi-fi at home, mum's MIDI hi-fi, like Beats to the Rhyme, Run DMC 7-inch, which is like a scratch record anyway, because of all the samples. And I just used to do little routines with this 7-inch because they move dead quick, and the platter on the MIDI hi-fi was only a 7-inch platter anyway. So I'd scratched with 7s before anyway, but yeah, I just DJing with Bocca, it was so much more like I found it like loads of fun. I found the challenge loads of fun, and the fact that the format, you've got one track per side. With hip hop mixing, you mix the tracks in really quick anyway, because like you're banging this one in, banging that one in. So the fact that you've got the short edits of most of your tracks on there, it's not like the 6-minute edit, and you don't have to faff about with all the different versions. You know exactly, you've got one track on this side, so you're whacking that on, and boom, boom. And the fact that they're so much lighter than 12 inches as well. So I could take.
But yeah, I mean, like what you off the battle with this game, it's just keeping it interested, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I think that's why I'm so enjoying the Rain mixer so much, because I'd had a TTM 56 for probably 15 years. I barely changed my mixer for a long time. That and a Chaos pad, and were a really good combo. And then I bought it last year to rekindle my interest, because it kind of dropped off a bit. And I'm having a lot of fun with that mixer at the minute, but I've nowhere near explored every possibility of it. It's like, maybe one day in the distant future when I do, maybe I might end up going back to vinyl.
No. Well, it's like that's the thing. You've just got to follow your nose and what.
Keep it interesting.
At the end of the day, if you follow what brings you joy, within this, and I suppose it goes with anything in life. But if you follow that good feeling, then you're going to get the best out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you say, with your new mixer, if that's the thing that sort of lights a fire for you, you know, then you're doing the right thing. Do you know what I mean? And it's just so happened that, you know, it was going back to the wax that really sort of made me enjoy actually just DJing for folk again, you know. Not that I ever sort of didn't enjoy DJing for people, but the process of it became much more fun for me again. So
it's nice to have a change every now and again, isn't it? And just
exactly. You got to mix it up in.
Definitely
yourself. So because I think that sort of enjoyment kind of comes through to the crowd as well. If you're enjoying doing
definitely,
then it definitely sort of they can pick up on that and hopefully know that they're witnessing something that's fun for you as well, you know, and that feeds. So it's a feedback loop, in it, DJing, you know.
Right.
If the crowd are enjoying it.
You've been doing battle weapons with people. Care to share any information about how you did one with, is it JFB?
Yeah, I've done. I've got them here somewhere. But I started a record label. Well, initially 20 years ago to put a mixtape out. That's when Woodwurk started. 2003, so 23.
I remember your old website.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where the name Woodwurk came from, and then I sort of reignited it in 2016 because I'd made like a solo production album, and I didn't really know any labels that might want it or whatever, so I just ended up doing it solo. So that record came as a double vinyl. One of them was all the tunes, and the other one was like a scratch record using all the some of the cool samples on the tunes. So from that, I'd kind of learnt how to make a battle weapon, a scratch record, and then I started making scratch records essentially. So that's Woodwurk Records. So can't even think what number of release we're up to now, but done at least 20 records, I think.
You're all available for sale on your site at the minute?
Well, not the entire catalogue is available because I make them quite limited edition. So most of the titles I've done are now sold out, thankfully. But yeah, we've still got a number of the titles available. So yeah, woodwurkrecords.com is where you can pick up any of that or any kind of merchandise to do with me or the label. So there's like slip mats on there. There's these little things called grind strips.
Just bought one of them.
just sent it yesterday, James. Nice one.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything to do with my stuff in physical form is at woodwurkrecords.com. So I've done collaborations with like beatboxer Ballsy, who's like in the UK Beatbox Collective, amazingly talented beatboxer, where I recorded all original sounds with him for scratching. I do a thing called Scratch Sounds, which is like a library record for scratch DJs. So I'll take a theme and then record musicians to get different separate parts for scratch DJs to cut up. Yeah, so I did one. The first one was a blues theme, so everything's in a blues scale, and I've got like I've got guitar, harmonica, bass. I've got some drums on there. I've got a vocalist on there doing like blues kind of vocals and stuff. So there's all kinds of cool samples to sort of reconstruct and take apart on there. The second one was like a reggae themed one. So again, I took a lot of the sort of instruments that you'd associate with reggae, and I got a reggae vocalist on there and stuff to do that. And the last one I did was like an electro funk type of vibe one. So I've got like a sort of a Roger Troutman style sort of talk box vocal on there. So I got him saying like fresh and like all kinds of funny, but like in that real sort of like Zap kind of style, and like some real funky guitar and some real funky keys on there. And I've done records with JFB, who's like last year's World DMC champion. I sort of helped him put together basically he provided me with like his entire catalogue of sort of original battle sounds that is used over the years. So there's tons of original recordings with Beardy Man and tons of amazing samples that he sort of gave us, and together we sort of put it together as sort of a scratch record that sort of would be like useful and fun for other people. And some of his sort of classic routines are on there, some of the material from them.
Cool.
So did that. Did a tones one, which is really for the sort of music makers out there to do crazy pitch turntable stuff.
You still got a copy? Any copies of the tone one?
I've got copies of a 7-inch version of that. Yeah, I'll bring one when we do the night together.
Yeah, nice one.
Look, Prezi.
Oh, much appreciated. Thank you.
It's all good. That's a really good record by a really talented guy from Manchester called Christian Yerstad, who's an amazing scratcher and musician. And yeah, the latest one, I've done a couple of releases previously with the very talented DJ Robert Smith from Germany. Done 2 7s with him previously, and we've put those samples together to make this 12-inch. So that's the latest release. So that's like a combination of the 2 7s, but we put some extra material on there as well. So
nice.
So that's the latest release. So that is what I'm in here busy packing up and boxing up for people at the minute, sending wholesale orders out for. And the official release for that is like it's a week tomorrow.
Is this is this to get the release on your label, which you were going to announce?
Yeah. So we've announced it. I put out a video of me and him cutting up the sounds.
I've seen it. Yeah, we're really good. Yeah.
Oh, cheers, dude. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, it's called Rick in real life, but Robert Smith's brilliant. Like sort of putting videos together and stuff. So for the last three releases, we've done like a collaboration with me and him, sort of going back to back, going through the sentences. And we've got a really special other collaboration with Robert Smith coming out. We might drop it tomorrow, we might drop it in a week, we've not decided yet, but it's super dope. So just sort of fun things. So that's what I enjoy outside of actually going out and DJing for people. Sort of, I started as a graphic designer. That's what I did as a day job before I quit. So the record label allows me to do a lot of the graphic. So yeah, with the label, that's basically what I do outside of actually going out and DJing for people. So it's completely cottage industry. You know, I'm usually the one doing all the graphic design. I sort of put all the sounds together and stuff, and get them pressed and do and right through to sort of putting a stamp on it and packing the orders and doing all that business. So it's it's fun, and I get to do little fun videos to promote the stuff. So that's
so what you've got.
Side of it.
What upcoming gigs have you got then? Asian tour, I believe.
Yeah, so I've got a gig in Manchester next week that is oh man, I can't remember all the details of it. The production's called M35, I think, and it's I can't remember any of the details now. But anyway, we've got.
I'll stick a link below this video to anyone who's interested so where they can find all this information out, either to your Instagram or anything else if people want to watch it. Yeah. So Asian tour as well, I believe.
Yeah, so in a couple of weeks, I'm going to Asia. I'm doing like my Hip Hop is 50 AV set, so like a big celebration to mark the 50th anniversary of hip hop, and that's an audio visual thing. So it's like an hour and a half of back-to-back hip hop classics, with its routines thrown in, this, that, and the other. So I'm doing that in Taiwan, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. So wow. I've got like about 6 gigs out there doing that. So that's going to be cool. Yeah, loads of bits and bobs in the diary. So yeah, it's all good. It's all fun.
Cool. Right. So anyway, I think we need to wrap this up. It's about an hour and a half.
I know, sorry.
Hey, no need to apologise. Honestly, it's been brilliant. It really has. So, quick and hobbies outside at DJ. Go on. What?
I'm kind of into too much stuff, but I've always been into skateboarding, from like skating. St. Peter's car park in Burnley, like in the 80s, in the mid late 80s or whenever. Still into skateboarding. Still got a board. Never got any better since 1990, but I still absolutely love it. I've gone full hippie these days. I'm well into my yoga, and that
really
sort of keeps. Yeah, man. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I'm a yogi myself.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it keeps the DJ bad back at bay. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And, if anyone's listening to this and got a bad back, that's what got me into it.
Right.
Suffering with a bad back, and then Googled yoga for backs, did it, and it sorted it out for 3 days, and that were me done. And it's the one exercise I do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at evening.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. Especially once you get over 40, I think. Like, it's helps.
Well, I was actually I was trying to sell it to Robert Smith last night on the WhatsApp, like, because we were chatting about stuff, and it's like the sort of all-in-one longevity exercise, really, because it's like it's great for, like, you know, obviously sort of stretching out properly and all that lot, but brilliant for bad backs, brilliant for stress relief. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
recovery from injuries as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's great for what do you call it? Core strength and all that lot. But also, I sort of got into running on lockdown as well, so I'm a regular runner.
Oh.
Yeah, my God. So I'm into skating, yoga, running. I'm into meditation and stuff like that. I'm into reading books, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Into all sorts. Artwork. Yeah, you name it. Got too many hobbies.
Yeah, I'm a bit similar. So right, cool. Anyway, so if anybody's interested in catching me and Woody playing, we're playing on the 4th of November again at the Electric Circus in Burnley. Be a mixture of music and lots of good scratching and lots of good tunes. So thank you, Woody. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Nice one, dude. Yeah,
nice
pleasure
one.
chatting. And, yeah.